before it goes off again.
I know, seriously.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to interview you
If
guys
it does,
like 10
just
times.
shut this off and start again. I mean, just pause this.
No.
Yeah, I know.
No.
Okay. So,
Go ahead.
okay, how you guys doing?
We're doing okay.
We're doing okay? Okay.
We're doing okay.
Well, good.
Do you
Alright,
mind
so...
Now, what
leave
are
my
you
phone
doing?
here?
Have-
What? No, Dad, just leave your phone here or something.
Is Dad getting in your way?
Yes.
I'm expecting
Yes.
I
Thanks
thought
for
so.
that,
He's
girl.
very annoying.
I know, he is. He's
I'm gonna go
very...
take a shower. You guys do.
Okay, go take a shower.
Bye, Eric.
Right, see you later. Have
See
fun.
you later.
All right, go
Okay,
get started.
so I am going to interview you two for my AP US History class, okay?
Come on,
so,
more in the middle.
Just
well, Grandma, I can't really see you. Can you turn the camera a little bit? There we go.
Right there.
Perfect. Okay.
just don't go back to George Washington because I don't remember him too well.
Okay, I'll try not to.
Okay.
You're a little too young for that.
Thank goodness.
Okay, so I just want to jump right into it. Just in your opinion, what would you two think the greatest invention has been in your lifetime?
Oh boy.
Yeah, I know.
In my lifetime, I would guess the computer.
The computer?
Mhm.
Why?
Because I think it's opened the world to everybody.
Mhm.
Annoyingly so sometimes, but people are very, very aware of what's happening all over the world.
It's true, yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of invasion, like to your privacy people think about nowadays,
That's the part that's not good about it.
Exactly.
But people didn't know what was happening in a lot of places, and now they do.
Hmm. Yeah, but I mean, sometimes we do need to have our privacy invaded, so, like the Patriot Act, after 9/11 happened. I know you two were, pretty much there
Yes,
at that
that's right.
time. Do you want to describe really what happened that day in your opinion? In your eyes?
9/11
Yeah.
was probably the most horrific thing that I can recall ever happening. It was very frightening. We didn't know if there was more to come. We didn't know if we were going to be invaded. We didn't know if there were going to be more attacks. It was so horrible. I can't tell you how people felt. It was very, very scary. And we had never been attacked on our home base before.
Right.
Here it was in New York. It was unbelievable. It's indescribable how sad it was that day.
Right. Yeah, I can only imagine. What did you feel like? Did you feel a lot of fear come over you? And how do you feel like? Do you feel like the whole environment just changed around you? The whole just the mood of New York really just sort of changed
For a
within
while.
one day. Yeah.
For a while, because what happens eventually, everybody adjusts and goes back to their lives. But I would say for the first few days, first of all, we had to close all the bridges. And then they had Marines everywhere. And the Marines were on the bridges, and you couldn't, even if you were going to go visit a friend, you were stopped. Your car, they could go through your car if they wanted to. They stopped every truck that went by. It was a horrible, horrible time. It was like living through wartime. That's what it was like. Like we were at war. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
That just seems like it was a totally just completely scary time to live in. Just in that, especially in that area. Just living so close to the city.
But I will tell you, the bravery that took place that day, you'll never see anyplace else. The people who came from all over the country, and at their own risk went back into the buildings to try to rescue people. And the horrible information that we got afterwards, there were people who jumped from 50, 60 floors. They could not survive, but they were being burnt alive. It was just, they showed a lot of stuff on TV. Most of the stations did not show that because it was too horrific. But I knew some people who were right there when it happened, and they couldn't get, there was no transportation. They walked over the bridges to get out of Manhattan so that they could get home. It was just, I can't even begin to explain. When you think about it, you want to cry.
Yeah.
It was so sad. And there were 3,000 people died, and they weren't even all Americans. They were Canadians, they were Europeans, mostly Muslims. Yeah, Muslims included. And yeah, it's unbelievable. And because of that, so many people have gotten cancer because they went back into the building.
Right.
And yeah, and they went back and they put their own lives at risk. So, okay, did I answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Did we know anybody that actually lost their life that day, or
No,
No?
personally, no.
Okay.
No, fortunately, no, I don't.
Yeah.
Well, we knew people that worked there and got home safely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that must have been, totally life altering. Just suffering through that tragedy that day. I can't even begin to fathom. Just the
No,
The
it's
severity.
it was very strange because put on the television that people didn't even know what was happening when the first plane hit the tower. They thought it was a plane accident.
Yeah.
And the news came on and said that, and oh my God, how horrible! And then the second plane, and then you knew it wasn't an accident. This was very intentional. It's indescribable how it was. I don't know. I even get angry when I talk about it now, and it's so many years ago.
Right. Yeah. I know. It's at least Yeah, Grandpa.
In
I don't know if you can see
1947, a plane hit the Empire State Building.
Oh, in 1947.
Really?
I think it was on the 50th floor, but it didn't do the damage that these planes did because that building is made out of concrete.
Right.
This building looks like it's made out of all aluminum and glass.
Right.
This building was supposed to be indestructible, but as we now know, it wasn't.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we continue to move on, and have you ever seen like a country so unified by one event before, in your life
No.
or anything?
No, I've never seen it happen before like this. It was, as I said before, people came from all over the country. Fire departments, policemen, ordinary people who just came to help because it was our country. It was New York, but it was our country. It really did. What happens with everything is that with every tragedy, people adjust, and then life goes back to normal. It just happens.
They still have dogs walking in Penn Station.
They do. Yeah.
Where people travel.
Yeah.
They have the army down there with the police, with dogs, checking the packages and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Well, you've been there, Jake. You know.
Yeah, I remember that last time we went there. For after was that after the Paris attacks when we?
No, the
okay.
Paris attacks, you haven't been here since then. No.
Okay, when-
Right after the Paris attacks, they did bring out many.
She's bringing out her inner
You
chihuahua.
get your picture on here.
Oh, there you go.
you are.
Okay, so yeah,
Yeah.
why were they all there again when we were there? I forget.
I don't know. I tell you, there's always been
There's always been
in
the
New York,
military.
particularly. There's always
Right.
there are so many threats that they don't tell us about. They
Yeah,
just
I'm sure
deal
they
with
don't.
them on a daily basis.
Oh yeah.
So half the time we don't even know why.
Yeah.
Because we could have had many attacks since then. Not of that nature, but
But if
bombs,
something like that.
planted car bombs, things like that. And the New York police they have a department that deals only with that.
Really?
It's the only one in the country. It's an anti-terror. It's called anti-terror, I believe.
Really?
Yes. It's part of the New York police. Yeah.
And they go to other countries when there's problems.
Yeah, they do. They went
Like
to
they
Paris.
go to Paris,
yeah.
wherever there's anything goes wrong, they send these policemen there.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay.
Because that specialty.
Ugh, God, these dogs just keep barking. Laurel just got home from Mom's house, so they're trying to rile
okay.
up. Hey. You're
not driving yet, so Mary must have brought up.
Okay. Sorry.
It's okay.
Okay, so, now historically, do you remember what years were you guys born again?
I was born in 1939 and
1936.
Okay, so you guys were, born, like post Great Depression and then pre World War II. Do you guys?
No, not pre.
No, well.
World War II actually began in 1939, 1938 in Poland.
Right, in Poland after Hitler invaded.
But not here. But the attack on Pearl Harbor didn't happen until 1941.
Right.
But I was 2 years old.
Yeah, you were just 2 years old. Yeah, do you guys probably don't remember anything from that?
I do. That's
You
not
do?
True. I do. We have.
In your home,
What do you remember?
when you're home, they made you use blackout shades. It was a green shade that went in the front, and the regular white shade went behind it. And when a siren went off, you had to pull the shades down so nobody could see you. And the headlights on the cars were painted half black, so they wouldn't show a reflection.
Really?
All I really remember is the end of the war,
Mm-hmm.
because I was old, because they would have huge block parties to celebrate. People came out in all the streets. They had food and music, and they had hanging effigies of Hitler and Mussolini.
Really?
And and they would just throw things at them. They did all this to celebrate.
Where I lived, they had an army base. And twice a week, they used to take out tanks, and the soldiers used to march behind them like a parade. And they would drive these army tanks around the neighborhood.
Wow.
I didn't see that.
Yeah.
He's older than me. He
Yeah.
remembers more.
Just a little bit.
Well, it's true, you are.
That must have been a really crazy time. I know you guys don't remember too much, but did you have any sort of fear at all?
Well, no, but I do remember the rationing. People had ration cards, and you were allowed to buy so much sugar per month, so much
Gas.
So much gas.
You had a sticker on your car with an A on it to show that you were allowed to buy so much gas
Really?
at a time.
We didn't have a car. See, we were poorer than you, so we didn't know. I didn't have a car.
Okay.
But there were a lot of rationing going on. There was so many things you couldn't get, but it was it was an entire war effort. All neighborhoods all worked together to do all this, and nobody really complained.
Right.
They didn't manufacture cars during those years. The car manufacturers stopped, and all their factories were turned over to making
To the military,
planes
yeah.
and all military, right? That much I do know. Yeah.
Were your
But
parents?
it was a very.
My mother worked in a factory that made bomb sites.
Oh, yeah,
She
it's
did?
probably-
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
Ever hear
really-
of Rosie the Riveter?
Say that again, Grandma.
Rosie the Riveter.
No, I've never heard of that.
It's very. She just represents women in general. Because women never worked in those kind of factories before, but there weren't very many men. All men who were able-bodied or are young enough went into the armed forces. And the women manned the factories, right? And they did the riveting and they made the airplanes.
Yeah.
And so there was a picture of a woman. She was called Rosie the Riveter. She kind of represented women who were working in factories, and
It was a big time.
What?
It was a big time for that, especially because that's women had such an impact on the war, especially
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, it was
Definitely.
huge.
Yeah, when the men came back and needed their jobs back, then a lot of the women got out of it. But that really opened up women going into the workforce. Before that, women were basically housewives unless they really, really had to work.
And out here, there was a place called Grumman Facilities. They made the aeroplanes.
Airplanes.
Airplanes. They're about 2 miles from here.
Really?
And it was all fenced in and a whole bunch of buildings. In fact, the buildings are still there, but they rent them out to different people.
Yeah, they opened a movie studio there now.
Yeah,
They're making movies there now.
They're making movies there now.
We're Grumman, yeah. Part of the facility is still being used, but most of it now, they turned it into a movie studio.
Interesting. That's really weird.
Yeah, it
Huh.
is. Yeah.
Uncle John worked there for years.
Yeah, Uncle
You
John worked
did?
there for about a year or two.
Huh.
Yeah.
Cool.
Computers.
Yeah,
Okay.
doing IT work, yeah.
Oh, okay. Cool. Okay. So,
You had guards. You couldn't get any place.
Okay.
interesting. So,
Next question.
did you have, Grandma, did you have, like, your parents, did they work in, what was their involvement for the World War II? Do you remember what they did at all?
Let me see. Okay, when I was that age
Mm-hmm.
during the war, my mother was widowed. She didn't remarry till I was 7.
Okay.
My father died when I was 2.
Oh,
So my mother worked. She was a bookkeeper in a paper corporation, paper company. So she had really nothing to do with the
Okay.
war effort. Grandpa's mother did,
mm-hmm.
and I don't know about
My
his
father
father.
worked in the Brooklyn Navy Yard,
Doing what?
painting ships.
His family had war. My family, I had my mother's 2 brothers were in the army.
They were?
My two uncles were in the army, but neither one of them really saw combat.
Okay.
So that was good.
Okay, that is good.
Mm.
Now, okay, I asked Dad about this the other day, and I wanted to know because I remember a couple years ago you sent us stuff from Ancestry.com. Do you remember that?
Yes,
And
I do.
it was about how we came to Ellis Island and everything, but I wasn't
Mhm.
sure all the facts about it. Do you still remember all that? Like,
Yeah, I do.
you do? Okay, could you tell me about that? Because I really actually wanted to know all about that.
Okay, I can only go back as far as my grandmother.
Okay.
I didn't know my grandfather's family at all. He died before I was born.
Okay.
But my grandmother came here with my mother. My grandfather, her husband, came here right before World War One, and the whole family was supposed to come. My mother, my grandmother, her sisters,
Mm-hmm.
her mother, and what happened is one of the sisters got sick. Something to do with the eyes. And in Ellis Island, if you were sick, they turned you away.
Really?
So they knew that. They knew that they would be turned back. And they didn't want to leave anyone behind. So my grandfather said, all right, I'll go ahead of you and I'll get set up. Because we had family here. He already had some family here. He said, I'll go to them, we'll get set up. And then as soon as your sister is well, you follow on the next ship. They figured it would be a couple of weeks, a month, or whatever. And she did get better. However, World War One broke out, and they closed the borders, and nobody was allowed to leave. So my mother and my grandmother didn't get here till 7 years later.
Really?
So so there was a big distance between my mother and her brothers and sisters who came later.
Mm-hmm.
They lived on the east side of New York, where most of the immigrants came to. My grandfather they came from Poland. My grandfather had been a diamond cutter in Poland,
Really?
but I don't even know what the heck he did here. I did get some work in that area, but he got very sick. He developed a heart condition. And by the time my mother's sister was born, and when she was 5, my grandfather died. So my grandmother was left alone with, the older one was ready to get married, but was left alone with the younger ones, and she was widowed, and she had to go on welfare, which in those days they didn't call welfare, they called it home relief. But it was very strict. They used to come to your house and look in your closets, look in your drawers. I mean, it wasn't like today,
Really?
People are on welfare, they get away with everything.
Mm-hmm.
Not in those days, they didn't. Then my grandmother eventually found work in a factory. She sewed. And we all lived together. My father, as I said, my mother married. My father passed away when I was 2. And we moved in with my grandmother. And it was my grandmother, my mother, me, my Uncle Hal, my Uncle Saul, my Aunt Elaine, all in an apartment with 2 bedrooms. I slept on a cot in the living room.
Oh my goodness.
And that's, in those days, that's how it was.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't own our own home. We couldn't have afforded to anyway. And people in those days, they didn't own their own homes. Only wealthy people owned their own homes.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I remember when I was maybe 12 or 13, my aunt, the man she married, he came, took us for a drive out to Long Island, where you come here all the time. I had never seen houses like this before. I thought, gee, everybody out here must be so rich.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't believe that there were homes here for average people as well, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, we lived together in that apartment, and eventually my mother remarried, and we still lived there for a while, and because it was the end of the war and you couldn't get an apartment because they hadn't been building any. Anyway, it was a very close family.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, we were
The
very
average
close.
salary was between $30 a week and $50 a week.
Really?
Was the average salary, yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. My first job when I got out of high school was $65 a week,
Really?
and I was making, that was good money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What'd you do?
My first job, I got out. I worked for Paramount Studios. I was a part secretary, part file clerk. I hated it. I got out of there in about 3 months. I really did. I got out of there in about 3 months, but I did get another job as a secretary in a private company, which I liked much better.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that was better. Yeah.
That's good.
But I only went to high school. I never went to college.
Mm-hmm.
Because in those days, not everybody went to college like today.
Mm-hmm.
If you had a high school diploma, you were great.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't need college unless I could have gone. My marks were very good, and my father said to me, "Wouldn't you like to go to college?" And I said, "No, I want to go to work because I don't want to be a nurse, and I don't want to be a teacher." And that's what was open for women in those days.
Right.
And to be anything else, you really had to really fight for it.
Mm-hmm.
And I just didn't want it. So I just decided high school was enough, and I went to work. So now, you can tell your story.
Me, I'm working since I'm 10 years old.
Grandpa, put the camera down a little bit. I could only see your forehead.
Oh,
Let me
Hey.
here. You want here?
Oh.
You hold
That looks better.
I'm working since I'm 10 years old,
Okay.
shining shoes. Then I went to work in a bowling alley. In those days, the pins used to fly all over the place.
Well, they know automatic.
And you were in the back. It wasn't automatic.
Yeah.
And you had a duck. And you reset the pin. Then I went to school to be an auto mechanic. And I was working in a gas station from 15 on. And then when I finished school, I got a job in a taxi company, fixing taxi cabs. And then from there, I went to another company fixing trucks. Then I went to work for a company called Hertz, and I worked there 10 years.
Hertz is
And
still
then,
in business.
then I went to
Mhm.
work for New York City Transit fixing buses. And then I became a union rep, which they don't want to hear in Arizona.
Hey, you need Arizona. We know that.
And what else do we? Oh,
That's it.
That's
Then
it.
you retired. You
then
got
I retired. But no, I was thinking about what else we had in the old days.
what other questions do you have?
Okay, well, you guys were talking about, like, the old days when you were little kids. What did you guys do when you were kids normally, on a daily basis when you got out of school?
Kickball, scoop ball.
Okay, we had the best times that you kids today don't have the opportunity. We didn't have things. There
Mhm.
were no things. If you had a pair of roller skates, which I had, and I didn't even have a bicycle when I was little because my bike was stolen when I was 5. I had a little, a tricycle.
Oh, who
And
steals
my
a
mother
5-year-old's
my mother
bicycle?
didn't have money to buy me a new one.
Ah.
So that was that. That was the. I mean, we had no money. We had
Yeah.
nothing. I mean, don't forget, they were just a whole 2 women and a bunch of kids and no men. Both husbands died. So, but we grew up. Your life was in the street. We played every kind of game. The girls played poxy,
Mhm.
which is a chalk game. I don't know if you know what that is. There's another name for it, but I forget what it's called. But it's a chalk. You chalk off squares on the street, and it's just. Are you there?
Yeah. Sorry, I was just checking the
You
camera.
walked away. I thought I walked you.
No, I was just checking the camera. I'm
anyway,
sorry.
But there was Scully, which
The
was
soda tops, bottle tops on the soda.
Okay.
You used to open them up, and they made boxes on the sidewalk, and with your finger you used to push, try to get into a box or knock somebody else out of the way.
Oh, okay.
It was, yeah.
And they had marbles.
And there was Ringalivio, and stickball was very big, and paddleball, which you play
Johnny
with a
Wright.
ball against a wall.
Johnny
Yeah, I know
Wright's
paddle.
pony.
Dad played paddleball a lot.
Yes.
Yeah, with Uncle Mitch.
Johnny rides a pony. They had to line up a whole bunch of people, and somebody would run and jump over the top of you and see if they could stay without knocking you down
I mean, you could be you were out in the street
all day.
all day, in the summertime, of course.
Yeah.
When right after breakfast until it was time for dinner, then you come out again and you play till it was dark. And there was always something to do, but it wasn't with things that cost money. You needed a
Spalding ball.
Spalding. I'm just going to say that. You know what a Spalding ball is?
Yeah, baseball.
Well, no, it's not a baseball.
Well,
No,
Soft.
it's a rubber ball.
the rubber ball.
The rubber ball.
Uh-huh.
Spalding is the name of the company that makes it.
Right.
They still make.
They used to have that, and they had Pensy Pinky.
Yeah.
God,
What's
I forgot
Pensy
about these
Pinky?
things. Pink ball, but it was, I mean, they were high bouncers. And you played stoop ball because we all had stoops. You know
Yeah.
what a stoop is?
Yeah, I do.
The 4 or 5 steps leading.
Yeah,
each
leading up to
hand.
the, yeah.
Yeah, you hit the, yeah, I mean, so there was almost always something
And in
to
the
do.
schoolyard, they used to make squares on the wall with paint. And then you would have someone pitching and someone would be hitting with the stick. That's called stickball.
Stickball.
Then you had it in the street where they had bases.
Mm-hmm.
First, second, third, and home like a regular baseball game.
You know,
And they would pitch you a ball, and if you hit it, then you ran like hell.
the sewer, used to be a sewer in the street. The sewer was, you know,
home plate.
a home plate.
Okay.
It was, I mean, these kids had fun.
Yeah.
They really had fun. But there was nothing to buy. We didn't need really money. You needed a nickel to buy a ball and stuff like
Right,
that.
and then
But
you
that
just
was
found
it.
other stuff, you know.
Well, because they were, if you had kids, other kids to play with,
Yeah.
there were all these games. all
Exactly.
these
And
things.
basically, all the streets had apartment houses.
Mhm.
There was always a lot of kids.
Yeah, that's why, because there was all these
And
apartments.
mostly families lived in this apartment house.
Yeah.
On
So-
one floor would be one family, another floor, another family, and then you had all the neighbors.
Ask your father when he was little. Not
Dad.
little, but he was, yeah. He used to play ball. We lived in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
And he would play, they'd get a whole bunch of boys together, and they would play baseball.
Yeah.
And they played for hours. And they didn't need, there was nothing to buy. A kid had a truck, a girl had a doll. There wasn't much else.
Right, yeah.
Bikes, everybody wanted bicycles. But there were no computers, nobody had phones.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
And as you got older, they played hockey on skates in the park.
if you went out to play when you were a kid, you knew you had to come home for dinner time because there was no way to reach it.
Yeah.
You were just out on your own.
Mhm.
We kind of knew where you were. You knew with this friend's house, that friend's house. But you couldn't, like today, pick up the phone and just call you
Just
and say,
call,
Jake,
yeah.
where are you? You know.
Another big thing was the telephone.
What do you mean?
When the telephone came in,
Oh,
they had party lines. And there would be 3 or 4 families answering the same phone. And say, oh, I'm Jake, okay, goodbye. The rest of the other people would hang up. So
Mhm.
then what they had was in the candy store, they had a phone. So everybody used to go to the candy store. Could you tell Muscola to call me? Could you tell Gail to call me? And he would take all the messages and give them to you.
That's funny.
well, because a lot of people couldn't afford phones. It was big expense, you know,
Yeah.
considering.
The candy would be 2 for a penny, like
Oh, yeah.
little licorice hats.
Mm-hmm.
And the regular licorice would be 2 for a penny. Or they had that long string with all the little buttons on it.
Yeah.
And string paper.
The paper.
It's
That,
still, you can,
yeah, that would be 3 cents. It's long.
these are all these
Ice cream,
penny candy.
ice cream cone was nickel. What
Big,
else?
the big treat was the Good Humor Man
Good
used to
Humor
come
Man
around,
was
or
10 cents.
Bungalow Bar. Bungalow Bar was the other
10
one.
cents for a pop.
We grew up in different boroughs. He grew up in Queens mostly. I grew up in Brooklyn. Yet we have the same backgrounds because it was.
It's all
I don't know how it got passed down like that. But every kid it grew up in New York at that time has the same story.
Then we had pools. It used to cost you a nickel to go in the pool. And we had diving boards and all that. But I used to swim in the East River. Didn't have to pay anything.
I didn't do that.
I wouldn't do that today.
All
I
my
wouldn't
friends
do
we used
that.
to swim in the East River.
Oh my goodness.
You don't want to swim there now, I tell you that.
No, God, no.
And the train was a nickel,
Still let it back.
and the seats was made out of straw.
Yeah, they were more like wicker.
They were like wicker seats.
Mm-hmm.
And they were a nickel, the train. And you could go from Queens to Brooklyn. And one stop. You didn't have to change all these trains like you do today.
Yeah.
You would take one train from one end to the other end.
Mm-hmm.
And that was it. But today you got to, every couple of stops you got to change.
Oh, I don't
Yeah.
know what it is. We don't have
So-
trains anymore. Now, today, like when you come here, you take the Long Island Railroad, it's very expensive.
It's expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah, but in those days, we just took the
Even
subways.
the
We didn't
bus.
live out here.
Bus was a nickel.
Yes.
And then they had trolley.
Oh no.
These-
Now they used to hit you on the back of a trolley. Trolley cars were in the street on tracks, and they were run by electricity overhead.
Right.
And they had a nice in the back. You could stand right on it. You didn't have to pay.
If they didn't catch
And then
you.
sometimes the guy would
Yeah, you gotta be
come out of the
sneaky.
seat and chase you. Yeah.
Did you ever see a trolley car?
Yeah, I rode on one in San Francisco.
Oh, okay. I was just going to say, that's right. If
Yeah.
you were in San Francisco, then they call them cable cars.
We
Yeah.
used to have them in the street. We used to have them in the street all over
Yes.
Manhattan, all over.
Brooklyn,
Then
too.
they did away with that, and they put up electric buses.
Electric
And then they did
buses.
away with the electric buses, and they put in the diesel buses.
Okay. How we doing, Jake?
I think you guys are doing awesome. You guys are really, it's really cool to see, the perspective, not just from a general history, from a personal history. I think that's really cool.
It's
Yeah.
personal.
Yeah, I think it's really awesome. You guys are doing really great.
Then what else?
What else do you want to know?
Okay, well, I have my.
We had White Castle hamburger. You would drive in there, and you put burgers, and the girl would come out on skates.
On
Take
skates?
your order, skate back into place, and bring out your order on skates and hook it on your window.
They were called car hops.
I think that's the greatest thing
They
ever.
would put it. And we had drive-in
Drive-in
movie theaters.
movies.
You could go in with your car with your whole family.
I would like
and
to
in the
do
car,
that.
you put a speaker on your window,
hmm
and this big screen would be in front of you, and you could watch a movie.
I think
Oh,
that's really
family
cool.
ones.
I think that's
Yeah,
really
they're
cool.
gone now. There's none left. I don't know why.
I don't know.
They-
Yeah,
they-
that seems it's a great idea. I would totally do that today.
Because the movie theaters took over $10 a seat.
Yeah.
Over there, you $5. You
the whole family.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. There's
Okay.
okay. So
Do you have any others?
yeah. Okay. So I'm just gonna read one off of my interview question sheet that I typed up.
Go right ahead.
So describe your thoughts on like the effect of communism on the country and really the whole world.
The effect of communism on this country?
Well, just overall, really, from your point of view.
We had a few people, the husband and wife, they were communists. And
The Rosenbergs?
Rosenbergs, and they got executed.
And to this day, we don't know if they weren't just that they were communists. They supposedly stole secrets
Right.
and sold it to Russia. And we went through
These
this
were people
Cold
that you
War
know?
period. What?
These were people that you know? That you knew?
No, we don't know them.
Oh.
They're Ethel and Julius Rosenberg. You can look them up. They were Jewish people, by the way, but I don't know if that had anything to do with it. They were communists because they belonged to the Communist Party.
Right.
We had a what the heck was his name? Joe McCarthy.
McCarthy, yeah.
The
McCarthy
era.
hearings. He was a senator, and he decided that if anybody even had visited a Communist Party meeting, they were already immediately suspect that they were against the United States.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a very, very bad time in this country. Mostly, well, not mostly, but a lot in the entertainment business. people went to Communist Party meetings. This is a long time ago. What the fascination was, I don't really know. Nobody ever acted on anything. They didn't do anything about it. Communism across the world, mostly in Russia,
Yeah.
was what we knew about it was enslaving.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be this wonderful Marxist view where everybody has the same thing and therefore they don't have to fight for anything. Everything is equal. You make $1, he makes $1. He's got a car, you got a car. It doesn't work like that because what we know now is people are competitive, and most people are not complacent enough to say, "Okay, I'll just do the littlest that I can, and I'll get the same thing as the guy over there who's working his ass off, right?
Yeah.
And I don't have to do it because everything is the same." It doesn't work. Communism, it's a lovely thought, but it doesn't work.
Right.
So, but Russia, of course, between Stalin and, well, it was first Marx and then Stalin, and he was a horrible, horrible man. He really was. But because in World War II, he eventually became our ally because we needed whoever could fight the Nazis. We needed him. But we know now. Look what look at North Korea. The way they live is so unbelievable. Even China is loosening up now. They're not as hardline as they used to be. Communism is faded in a lot of countries. It doesn't work. Communism here was more like, I don't know how many people, I don't really know anyone personally who was a communist. And I guess they thought it was like an ideal thing because that's the way it was touted. As I said, everybody gets the same thing. But when they really got into it, they didn't like it. Nobody here really became.
They used to sneak flyers. They used to sneak around, give out flyers. There's going to be a meeting, such and such a place at this day.
Yeah, I don't remember it. But as I said, it never really affected me. Nobody in my family was a communist, and we were not that much aware of it. Mostly aware of it in Russia and in China and North Korea, places like that. Not really. It didn't really affect us here. Not me or John personally, anyway.
How we won part of the World War II was the ball bearings. They made ball bearings, and the planes could make turns. Ball bearings made turns that the other planes couldn't do.
Yeah. Yeah, we were really technology, our technology was really up there. That helped us. Definitely.
Well, and then of course we invented that bomb.
Yeah.
We were the first to have the bomb. And Truman used it. To this day, he's been criticized, but I think he did the best thing because the Japs would not stop. The war was over in Europe, and in Japan it was going on, and we have since found out how horrible the Japanese were to the soldiers that they captured. Worse even than the Nazis were, if it was possible. So terrible. The forced march in Bataan, women, men. They made the march, like 1,000 miles to get from one place to another. They were dying on the way. They were starving. These are all American airmen, soldiers. World War II history is not pretty at all.
The big generals were General MacArthur.
MacArthur.
General Eisenhower.
Yeah, MacArthur was in Japan, and he had to leave.
He wanted to drop the bomb, and they didn't let him.
But Truman finally dropped the bomb on Hiroshima and Nagasaki and ended the war. And a lot of people were left with burns and scars, and it was terrible because a lot of the people were probably innocent people who would just live there, just caught up in it. But he had to do it. We couldn't lose any more life here. We had to end that war.
Yeah.
So I admired him for doing it. I don't care what the critics say.
Patton that ran the war with Eisenhower and MacArthur.
Patton was the desert, like with the tanks. Tanks, yeah. It was. I'll tell you, if you read about World War II, it was, to this day they're still making World War II movies. It never stops. Stories keep coming out constantly about the bravery, about the people that not only fought, about the resistance, all over Europe. I mean, it was a really, a time that still affects us to this day.
They made yo-yos in my day.
They made yo-yos here, so.
Yo-yos.
I know. What's that got to do with the war?
But in my day, they made yo-yos.
They still make yo-yos.
Yeah, but that's when it started.
Oh, okay.
Yo-yos.
Duncan still makes yo-yos. I never could really work one. I could never make it 2 tricks. I never
Go around the neighborhood, spin a yo-yo and put it in his pocket. And it make the thing walk like a dog.
Oh, yeah. People were very good at it, but I wasn't one of them.
I was okay at the yo-yo. I never
Oh,
really
you
got.
were a yo-yo
I was
okay.
never really that good, but I tried.
Well, I always tried, but I never could.
I learned a couple tricks. I learned how to do the cat's cradle and walking the dog and stuff.
Yeah?
And around the world.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Can you still do it?
I might if I tried it. I don't know if we have a yo-yo in
Let's
here.
get
But
you a yo-yo. We'll have to find out.
yeah, we need a good yo-yo.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
The movie was 12 cents.
The movies were 12
12
cents.
cents.
Yeah. Oh, when you went to the movies when we were kids, even when I was a teenager, you saw a double feature and a cartoon, and sometimes a movie short, like a documentary, like a short film. You were there all day.
Yeah.
You and your mother got rid of you on Saturday. She said you did movies for $1, and you were gone from 12 to 5. Okay.
Every time it was 12 cents, then it went to a quarter.
Yeah.
And then they brought out the bonbons. You know the ice cream bonbons?
No, he doesn't know what they
No.
are.
They still sell them today.
Do they sell? They're not called bonbons, though. They're called something else.
They're round,
Yeah.
and they got chocolate.
They're ice cream.
I feel like I know what you guys are talking about, but
Yeah, there's another name for them, and I don't know
I don't know.
at the moment. I can't remember what it is.
that's okay.
Okay, what else you got?
Okay, so let's get away from all the dark stuff. What was your favorite thing about like growing up in this country? Like your favorite time period, anything? Really.
My favorite time period. Gee, that's hard. You want yours? Do you know yours? That's really
Driving
hard.
a car.
Oh, okay. When you learned how to
When I
drive.
learned how to drive.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
my favorite time. And then I learned how to fix them, so I used to buy them when they didn't run and fix them till they ran.
Mhm.
Sell 'em.
And then sell them.
Yeah.
I got my license at 16. They used to have junior licenses.
But that was you. See, they can drive at 16.
Yeah, I know, but
Yeah.
they didn't have that. You had to be 18 unless
Yeah.
you lived in Nassau County.
Mhm.
And I had a relative who lived in Nassau County, and I used their address. And at 16, I got a driver's license. And,
Nice.
and I used to buy cars that didn't run, and I used to fix them and sell them after they ran.
Nice. Look at that. Yeah, you've always been. I know.
What was that?
No, I'm sorry, Grandma. What were you saying?
No, I was trying to think what my favorite time is. And I think my favorite time, I think it was, I don't know, when my kids started to grow up and can take care of themselves. I went back to work. I had a very good job. And Grandpa and I used to travel a lot. I think that's what I liked the best. We used to go, we went on so many places out, and we saw almost every state in the East Coast. And of course, we were in Arizona. We've been to California. I haven't been to Europe. That was my one regret. Now we can't go because it's too hard for us now. But
Well,
that was my favorite.
When they started with the bombing, Grandma wouldn't get on a plane.
Oh, you mean with after 9/11? No, it took a while before I got the guts to do that.
Oh
again.
yeah, I would be really questionable with that too. I'm sure a lot of people
But
were.
but that was my favorite time. Once my children got on their own and they were able to, they didn't need me all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, that must have
We
been.
went,
Yeah, we used to go away all the time. We used to get weekends and everything. We really had. It was just nice.
I had a job where we used to go away on conferences,
Conventions.
conventions,
Yeah.
and Grandma was mad because she had to use her vacation.
But it was good. It was good.
Yeah.
Oh, life was good. Life has been good. Yes.
That's really cool. Yeah, it must have been really cool for to see this old guy in the kitchen over here, and Uncle Mitch and Aunt Leslie all just grow up, become successful, and just get their
Yes, become on their own, and right.
Yeah.
And because when your children are young, and my children were so close in age, they needed me all the time.
Yeah.
So it was kind of nice not to be that needed.
Yeah,
you know?
right.
And it's nice to see your children become successful. Your father left home very early. He left home at the age of 17. He went away to college. He never really came home again. Then he moved to Arizona, and that was it.
Mm-hmm.
Uncle Mitch was with me the longest. I thought he would never leave. Yeah, well, because Aunt Leslie left when she was about 19. She moved out.
I had to bail her out.
Got her own apartment. Well, she went to live with Uncle
Jake, I
John.
had to bail her out, Jake.
You had to bail her
She
out?
went to live with her. Yeah, she went to live with her girlfriends.
Uh-huh.
And
She
all
lied.
the time she comes and she says to me, "You got a cover for me." What? John and I are moving in together. I said, "Oh, here comes trouble." She said, "Well, you can take care of it."
She made him tell me. She didn't have the nerve. But Uncle Mitch was here a long time. I don't know, 27, something like that.
Seriously?
He lived here the longest. Yeah, until I finally said to him, you know, it's time for you to move on. It really is. You
that's
don't need to
great.
live here anymore. So then he got an apartment with his friend, and then a year later he met Janet, and that was that. But he was here, yeah, when he stayed here a long time. Well,
Yeah.
so anyway, those were some of my favorite times, and of course, you know, having your father and your two others, that was of course part of a very big part of my life.
Mm-hmm.
We had the Brooklyn Dodgers here. And we had the New York Giants here.
Oh, that's right.
And the Dodgers moved out to California. And Jackie Robinson was the first black person. He was brought up to the
That's
Dodgers.
right. Yeah, we witnessed that. Yeah. The first black guy ever to play on any white baseball team.
That must have been really cool, yeah.
1947. And in fact, they just had the Jackie Robinson story on public television. And we watched it again, and it was really fascinating. That poor man, what he went through.
Yeah.
Oh my, what they did to him there. It took a lot of nerve and a lot of guts to do what he did, but he opened the door for everybody else. The first one to do anything is always. There's so much that happened in our lifetime. The civil liberties,
Civil rights.
the civil rights. My goodness, the Rosa Parks. All this stuff that took place, I forgot this, in the 1960s, with all the marches on to get black kids allowed to go to white schools.
But that was not in New York.
It wasn't in New York because we always had it here.
I went to Florida when I was a kid, and they had water fountains, white colored.
Really?
Bathrooms, white colored. You couldn't use the same ones. And if you went in a restaurant, the black person had to eat in the kitchen.
Really?
And you went on a bus, they had to get up and give you the seat.
It really, everything you've ever heard is true.
Yeah.
It's all true.
All the South, all about the South.
The South, I mean, not that the East was that great. We still had plenty of prejudices, and we did not really live together on the same street most of the time.
No.
We had black neighborhoods and white neighborhoods.
Right.
And it stayed like that for a very long time. It was nothing that was legal. It was nothing in writing. It just, if you went to a real estate for a house and you were black, it was called steering. The agent would take you to a black neighborhood and not even show you any houses in the white neighborhood.
Really?
And that's the way it worked. And now it's all illegal. You can't do that. They can't. And now the neighborhoods are integrated everywhere. We have black people, Indians, everything.
Mm-hmm.
So we are very integrated now.
Yeah, definitely. It was a really crazy time period, for a lot of movements.
It was.
Not just civil rights, but a lot of the gay rights and the women's rights already took place and everything. It was just a whole era of rights just coming through, and just a lot of change, for the better.
It's
really,
amazing.
See, this is in your time, all this stuff.
Yeah, this stuff is now in your time, but
Yeah.
when I think back to everything that took place from the beginning, yeah, you're right. I mean, there have been more changes in our lifetime than ever took place before. Nobody ever had so many things happen in a lifetime.
That's crazy.
It's happened to us. From the time 1936, 39 to now.
And we had the
It's like a
Depression.
complete revolution. Well, we didn't live through the
No,
Depression.
but there was a big depression.
Yeah,
Where
you guys were
the
just
stock market went broke. Everybody
People
went
jumped
broke.
out of windows. It
1929.
was really weird. Yeah.
it was just It's insane, you know, how you guys have literally lived through all of that. You know, you guys have lived through that history. You know, it must be like it must be kind of weird to, you know, think about that. You know, like you were at one point living through that. You know, it's just it's kind of interesting. You know, like I'm living in some sort of a history. I don't know, like what will be taught in the textbooks or anything like that. But you know, it's kind of weird to think about. Like, you know, this will be taught about one day, you know. It's kind of cool.
We got street smarts.
Yeah.
We didn't get textbooks. We got street smarts.
Well, because we grew up in the streets.
Yeah.
We really did. Like I told you, we would be out in the street all day long.
Mm-hmm.
We were on our own. You didn't have your mother watching you, or you know, nobody could call you. Nobody could get in touch with you. You just knew the rules, and that was it.
Yep.
You know.
Yep.
Yeah.
When it gets dark, you go home to eat.
That's right.
Yep.
So how we doing?
I think you guys are doing great. I don't know what time it is. 12:28. How long is this going on for?
I don't know. What is it? 3:30 now, but I don't know when we started.
I have absolutely no clue.
What else you got?
Because
But you got any other questions?
the memory said it was like an hour and 18 minutes, so hopefully let's. Oh, good.
Wow.
All right, we have. Let's see. We're
I'm
at
surprised my phone hasn't shut off.
we're at 51 minutes, so we can keep going. Okay, so what like famous musicians did you guys listen to when you were growing up? Like, who's your favorite?
Musician?
Yeah.
Is that what you said? Musician?
Yeah.
Oh, I love
Chuck Berry.
I love Ray Charles. He was my favorite. I don't know if you know who Ray Charles is. Do you
I know a little bit.
Okay. And then Elvis Presley.
Elvis.
Elvis was later, yeah. Well, no, Ray Charles was around. No, Elvis. Elvis was in the 50s and the 60s, and Elvis was like, oh my God, he was God. Everybody loved Elvis Presley. I'm sure you know who he is.
Oh yeah.
Who was your favorite?
He's all shook up.
All shook up. You have any favorites?
Guy we talked about last night.
Chuck Berry. No, you just said that. You were talking about Fats Domino, or you?
Oh, Fats
the
Domino.
other guy, the guy we were talking about this morning. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah.
They still play their songs.
Yes, you still hear these songs.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think Elvis made the Beatles. The Beatles, right?
Beatles.
Yeah, I think Elvis was the start of a whole new
Era.
yeah, a whole new genre. Yeah, I mean, we were at the beginning of rock and roll,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
When it wasn't called rock and roll, it was called rhythm and blues,
Right.
and it was mostly black singers.
Then Clark came along.
Dick Clark.
Dick Clark came along, and he made the
American
Bandstand on TV. Every day they would have a bunch of kids dancing and playing music.
Yeah.
Like 3 to 4 o'clock or 3 to 5 o'clock in the afternoon.
Whatever.
Yeah.
They would have that every day. He would run this show.
Huh. Very cool. Yeah.
Yes.
It's cool to see how, you know, technology changed with, you know, and how it influenced all of the music and, you know, all of the, you know, as TV came along, all these, you know, late night talk shows came about, all these new TV shows that Dad used to watch, you know, like, you know, we still, you know, we watched a couple years ago, we used to watch the Dick Van Dyke Show a lot. I love that show.
One of my favorites.
I love that
Love it.
show. So good. It's
We
just totally different these days, you know. It was, you know, Dick Van Dyke was so talented in like everything that he did. He was amazing, you know.
Yes, he was.
Yeah.
We had records. They were so big. 78s.
Yes, 78.
And they brought him down to the 45s. And then they put him on
33s. 33. Long playing. Yeah.
And when you bought a recording, when you bought a turntable, you had to make sure it had all these settings on there. The 45s, you used to put a little round disc in it so you could put it on the
turntable.
The turntable. They're little round plastic discs. You would put them inside the 45.
Yeah, because it made them
You
smaller.
could play it on a regular phonograph.
There was a lot. Yeah, I mean, it's so different now.
Portable radio by battery.
Oh, they were new.
I had one of them.
Yeah.
It was the leather radio, and you bought batteries, flashlight batteries,
Transistor.
and you would put it in there.
Transistor radio.
It was only AM, no FM.
We used to be able to take you to the beach. That was the first time there was something portable that you could take with you and listen to music and take it anywhere you wanted to go. And they were small. They got smaller and smaller as they got more. They became more sophisticated. Yeah. Yeah.
Then they came out with the small,
I don't know.
the tapes you put in the car, the
The video. Well, cassettes.
the cassettes
Yeah.
from the
Eight-track.
They made the little cassettes.
Yeah. Everything kept changing.
Then they made books. They made books on the cassettes.
Books.
Yeah, storybooks instead of you reading the book.
Oh, yeah. When we used to take a long trip by car, I used to get books on tape.
Yeah, books on tape. Yep.
Yeah. And that, because I used to like to listen to that. So many things that I can't even remember all of them. It's just because it just progresses so quickly from one thing to the next. And here I am talking to you on my phone, and I can see you. And I've never really done this before. I've done Skype, as I said, but not for a long time.
Yeah.
And this, it's fantastic.
It's insane.
3,000 miles away.
This would be like almost, nobody would believe 30, 40 years ago that this could even be happening.
Yeah, right.
You know that? It would have seemed like
25 years
somebody's
ago.
fantasy.
Right? Yeah, it's like
45
something out of the
years
Jetsons.
Yes. So it's amazing. Progress.
Next, we're going to have electric cars.
We already have them.
Yeah, we
They're
already
going to
have
drive
them.
Have you
themselves.
seen the cars that drive themselves?
I want to have one of those. I want to see if it actually works because I'm a little skeptical on that.
You're not a believer?
I don't
They
know.
do.
I want to see it in person. That's what I want to see.
Right.
All right.
Well, we saw
You
one
will.
on TV.
I will eventually.
We saw one on TV. A news guy went out and went for a ride with it. It was a Cadillac.
Really?
And the guy behind the wheel was reading the New York Times.
Yeah.
What?
So the guy with him, the news guy, says, "Hey, don't you watch the road?" He said, "I don't have to watch nothing. I just put in where we're going, and we're going to get there." And they drove.
But I mean, at this point, I think I'd be a little bit afraid of them. I really would.
Like Grandma's got a Honda.
Yeah.
When you're going to make a right turn, you put on the signal light. The whole right side street comes up in
The
the
right
middle.
lane, yeah, shows that.
Shows you anybody walking, any cars at the corner.
Really?
Oh, there's Laurel. Hi, Laurel. Hi.
And then
All right.
She snuck in there.
Yeah, she did. She just wants to be in the interview.
She wants the face to be shown on.
Exactly. She wants the fame.
She thinks she's on TV.
She thinks she is.
Hi, Mom.
You gotta say hi, Mr. Stroud. That's who's gonna watch those.
watch his face.
What?
And Jake or her?
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, and then Dad's
Okay,
here
so
too.
where we at now?
I gotta go to the store. We're gonna take the car.
You're gonna go to okay. Have fun,
Need
guys.
anything?
I'm good. I don't know. Okay.
My son just ignores me like I'm nobody.
Let
Okay.
him mind your son.
I know,
I
seriously.
gotta talk.
How
I
rude.
gotta talk to my grandson. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Okay. Who is your favorite president and why?
Oh,
Bill
boy.
Clinton.
Yeah, I'm just going to say that. Bill Clinton. Even though you've heard a lot of things about him,
Yeah.
his personal life was a mess. But he was one of the best presidents that we
We had
had.
the best stock market.
The
making
economy
money.
was booming. We had no problems. We really didn't. Everything was perfect.
Mm-hmm.
As far as the economy goes, there was no depression. People were making money. People were happy.
Well, we had one incident with a ship that I think it was Russia that he didn't want to. They caught
It wasn't Russia. It was one of the Arab countries.
Yeah.
And he investigated, but not well
Not
enough.
well enough.
That was Osama bin Laden.
Right.
Yeah, and that was before we really knew how bad Osama bin Laden was and what was to come.
Mhm.
But so in that respect, it was the USS Cole.
Yeah.
Boy, my memory's better than I thought.
I
And
know, it's crazy.
it was attacked, bombed or something. I don't remember exactly. And they did an investigation, but the investigation was I fault him for that.
Mhm.
Knowing now what I know now, we didn't know it then. But
Right.
as far as the way the economy it was really good. We've had some good presidents. We've had a lot of stinkers. Nixon
Carter was not that.
Carter was and he was an evil man. Lyndon Johnson did a good job, but he
got Social
he
Security.
was not a nice. And Lyndon Johnson got his Medicare and Social Security.
Mhm.
Well, no, Roosevelt got his.
Roosevelt, yeah.
Roosevelt was. I would have said Roosevelt was my favorite president. He was a very good president, but he was he was an aristocrat. He came from very, very wealthy people.
From
He
New
never
York.
really dealt with the common man,
Right.
and he tried. His wife, Eleanor, was better than him. She got all kinds of awards and everything. She was a wonderful person. But he came from a world where they didn't like Jews. He tried his best, but he did not help the Jews during the war. And for that, I fault him. And I think that's why he's not my favorite president. Otherwise, he would have been. Not Nixon, John F. Kennedy, he wasn't there long enough. JFK wasn't there long enough to really say how he would have been. And
Yeah.
of course, his personal life was nothing to brag about either.
No.
But if you look back on almost every president except Truman and Eisenhower, no, not Eisenhower, Truman, except Truman, because and Carter, who lusted only in his heart. Yes, I never forgot that. And they asked him, did he lust after other women? He said, I only lust in my heart. I'm faithful to my wife. But every other president has had a girlfriend, a mistress, a dalliance of some kind.
Mm-hmm.
Except Obama, we don't know. She'll kill him.
I don't think Obama. No, I don't really.
I think he seems like a pretty good guy in that situation.
I think he's a real family man.
I think he's afraid of his wife.
He probably is.
Probably.
Chop his head off.
But I think he's a real family man, and I think he and his wife are truly happy
Yeah,
together.
they're respectful in that manner, definitely.
Yeah. But almost every president has had a lot of this kind of stuff. I think it has something to do with being very powerful.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I really do. When you have that kind of power, first of all, people are very attracted to you. Women of all kinds are attracted to you, and it has something to do with that. The more power you have, the more you're like that.
But the old days, nothing was said about a president. He could have 20 girlfriends.
Yes, well,
it was not in the newspapers. It was
even when the press knew, they kept it quiet.
They kept it a secret.
That's for the office.
Completely different now. It's all out.
Yeah. When Kennedy had all those women, the press knew about it. They covered for him.
It's crazy.
Yeah, really.
It literally boggles my mind,
Yeah.
from a modern point of view, because it just isn't like that. Everything is so out there. There's scandal this, scandal that. There's what's he doing right here, and then 40 years ago, we shouldn't tell anybody about that.
Well, when Roosevelt was president, he was crippled.
Mm-hmm.
He used a wheelchair most of the time. What he would do is he would have them bring him to the podium before the cameras came on, before anybody was there, and he could stand.
Yeah, with his upper body strength.
And so that he never wanted to be seen in the wheelchair because it would make him look weak.
Mm-hmm.
And the press knew all this, and they never said it.
Mm-hmm.
They covered for him. They never showed him as a cripple.
Yeah.
But today, that would never happen.
I forgot. In Europe, one of the presidents died. His wife was there. His girlfriend was there.
Prime minister.
And his mistress was there.
Italy. It must have been Italy. Yeah, all his girlfriends were there, and his wife. And they thought we made such a big deal out of Bill Clinton with the Monica Lewinsky thing. And they were laughing at us because to them, they said, that's his private life. It's got nothing to do with it. It's got nothing to do with him being president. What are you? You Americans are weird. They think we're so straight-laced, which in a way we are, I guess. I don't know. But anyway, so that was my favorite president was Bill Clinton, only because he kept us very solvent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay. What else?
So I want to end the interview with just one final thing. An overall reflection of how the times have definitely changed. Just an overall view.
Okay.
Yeah.
You want me to say how times have changed?
Sure. Yeah.
Oh my goodness, an overall view of how times have changed.
Anything that you want, you know.
I'm trying, you got anything?
Well, we went from being blue collar.
But that's
making
just
low,
us.
No, I'm just talking about, it was a lot of low wages. The wages all came up now over the years. And more people were able to buy houses and stuff.
Yeah,
And buy new cars.
the world has changed in that respect, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But not everybody is making money. A lot of poor people. There's always poor people.
A lot of people have cars. A lot of people bought homes, which you couldn't do before.
No, I guess so. I don't know. Some of it, a lot of it is better. A lot of the world is better, like at least in this country, because of the civil rights, because of the fact that people, LGBT, the gay. I mean, it's so many people who have rights that never had them. People who had to, gay people who had to hide. I worked with a guy who was gay. He was what did I say? He was
Artist?
No, he wasn't. No, I did know some of them. Anyway, he was a PR man. That's what he was, public relations. And he didn't work in our offices. He would come all the time. Very well dressed, very witty, very nice guy. He was gay. He had a partner that he lived with for like 25 years. So, but when he came to the office, he had to pretend that he was straight because everybody would have been shocked.
Yeah.
And so he would flirt with the girls and everything and try to, pull off this persona that he was this very, straight man. And that doesn't have to happen anymore, although some people do it if they want to. So it's just nice that people can, I think, in most places, can be themselves and not be looked down on. And I think we're a little bit more liberated. Until I don't like what's going on, the presidential election, that the nomination process is horrible. I have never seen anything so disgusting in my life. And I said, it's not who I'm going to vote for, it's who I'm going to vote against. And that's not how it should be. But it's been like that a lot. But this is so disgusting when I hear lying Ted, crooked Hillary. I mean, just state the facts. State who you are. Let us decide who's should be elected, who shouldn't be. And I mean, it's just it's mean. It's so mean-spirited. It's ugly. It's just ugly.
It is.
And that I don't like that it's allowed to be that way. I have no idea who's calling in. It was always like this, but because it wasn't on television, we didn't know it. We didn't hear it, So anyway, I don't know. Life is better, I think, in a lot of ways. It's but maybe not for everybody.
Yeah. Okay.
That's it. That's all I've got to say.
Well, thank you so much, guys, for letting me interview you for like an hour. I really appreciate it.
We enjoyed it.
Yeah, I really
reminiscing.
I really enjoyed hearing about your guys' past and everything. I never knew anything, really about that. I really appreciate that. You guys telling me about that and open about your lives a little bit, for this project and everything. So
Girlfriend.
Well, how's my girlfriend? She's awesome. We just went to prom last night.
Oh really? Prom this night?
Yeah.
Is it her prom?
Her prom. Yeah, we went to the Phoenix Zoo.
She's not graduating now. She's junior prom?
Yeah, junior prom. Yep.
And she still have one more to go, Nick?
Yes. Yeah, we do.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, great.
Yeah.
Great.
I could send you pictures if you want. You could see us.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
All right, I'll send that right away.
Okay, we're starting to break up here.
Yeah, I know, just a little bit, but thank you guys.
It's a pleasure. I think this is the longest I've ever talked to you, and I loved it.
I loved it too. It was great. I loved it.
Okay, we had a good time. Hey, take care, honey.
Okay. All right. Talk to you guys soon.
Talk to you soon.
All right.
Bye.
We love you.
I love you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.